Okay, right, here we are again. We are back. Welcome everybody to the We Quit Booze Brothers. This is a podcast where we try to have honest, no fluff conversations about our various experiences of quitting alcohol. And with me, as always, is my brother Matt. Hello, Matt.
Good morning, Mark. Yes, here we are once again, Sunday morning, my usual opening. I shall mention the weather because it's very nice at the moment. So nice way to start the day. We've both been up and out this morning, and it's pretty unusual for this part of the world to be so nice on a 2nd of March, which is the date we're on. So hopefully we've got some good stuff for you. And
yeah, it's lovely, lovely here too. Beautiful blue sky, nice and crisp. Frost on the grass this morning. Went out for a run early, and it was absolutely beautiful. One of the many joys of not having a hangover is waking up on a Sunday morning and being able to enjoy that period. In fact, Sunday mornings are one of my favourite times during the week, actually, because everything kind of slows down. And I was just saying to Matt before this, my wife has just gone off to a Pilates class. Don't ever do that. It's terrible. It's agony. It hurts, and it's really boring. But anyway, sorry for anybody that's really into Pilates. So she's gone to do that, and after this podcast, I'm going to walk into town. Going to get myself a coffee, get the newspaper, because I'm sure, like most of you, there's quite a lot of world news to read about at the moment. But we won't go into that. We'll stick to this one. We'll stick to this topic. Yeah, probably safest. So look, the conversation we wanted to have today actually is one that I came up with, that I suggested to Matt, and it was an interesting one because I was out last Sunday night. We went to the movies, and we went with some friends, and the guy that we were with, who's one lovely guy, very very close friend. Um, but he's my age. He's 56, 57, and he struggles with his weight. I'm sure he wouldn't mind. We're not going to name him, so you don't know this guy, but he sort of has issues, and that in turn has caused other sort of not serious but like minor health related issues. He's had some gout. He has had he's been told by the doctor that he's got this sort of pre-diabetic phase. So in other words, the sort of his lifestyle and the sort of blood work suggests that that he needs to sort of pull back. He needs to sort of try and find a way to regain some fitness. And what he does, and he's done this before, and he's doing it right now. And he was telling me all about it on Sunday as we were driving to the movie theatre. He said, "Oh, I'm on this diet again, And he was on it about 6 months ago. And this diet is it's one of these extreme. The doctors prescribed it. It's sort of, it appears to me you don't pretty much eat anything other than drink water and eat leafy greens and sort of blah blah blah. One of the things that he is not allowed to consume is alcohol. So it's a complete abstinence from alcohol, but it's an extreme diet. And one of the elements of this particular diet is he is allowed cheat days. He calls them cheat days. So he gets a cheat day, I think, once every 2 weeks, and he really looks forward to it. As I was listening to him, I was thinking about all of this, and it just struck me really clearly how. So when I talk to him about alcohol, for example, so his lifestyle tends to be pretty standard, for people of our sort of, age group or socio-economic group, whatever it is. People sort of generally like us go out eating, drinking, socializing. It obviously involves quite a lot of alcohol. It involves a lot of rich food, blah blah blah. And of course my view on this is that extreme diets, they did one 6 months ago and it obviously didn't work, because this idea of, oh, I've got to have a cheat day, what that does is it essentially, the message you're sending yourself is, oh, I hate this is awful, but don't worry, I get a cheat day. I get a day when I can actually enjoy my life again. And of course, all that is telling you is that, dieting, not eating is shit. Eating loads, eating what you want, drinking what you want is great. And I sort of said to him as softly and as gently as I could, because I think there's a real danger you come across as being a bit preachy if you're not careful, if you've given up. Just say, look, Mate, honestly, I just wonder whether these diets are going to work for you. Isn't it more about just a longer term, more manageable adjustment to your lifestyle? And one of the interesting things about these sorts of drinkers, and one of our listeners mentioned that on her comment, she sort of said, I'm not a big drinker, but I do drink fairly regularly. And I do still consider it to be somewhat of a challenge and problematic. And I think this speaks to that group as well, is that he particularly is very defensive about his drinking. Not quite gaslighting, but there's a whiff of gaslighting when he sort of he doesn't quite say it in these terms, but he's sort of saying to me, well, you kind of drank too much. You sort of had a problem with it, didn't you? I don't really have a problem with it. We never drink, we've got it under control. And I sort of I don't say anything back, but where the conversation that I wanted us to have today, and I've got a few more notes on it, is look, you can kind of kid yourself all you like here, but do you know what would really help you and would help you lose weight and would deal with the gout and the sort of all the other things would be if you quit drinking alcohol. If you stopped drinking alcohol. And the topic of this discussion is it's a choice. It's a choice. At the end of the day, this
Yeah.
is a choice. Now I'll hand over to you because I've got some other things to talk about the fact that choosing not to drink alcohol isn't always just a bed of roses. There are some challenges with not drinking. You do sacrifice certain things in your life. There are things you can't do anymore. There are experiences that you cannot experience anymore. And I think one of the things that the sobriety community in a whole does a bad job of actually is they always make it sound like this unicorn event. As soon as you quit drinking, you're going to shit dollar bills. You're going to live in a world of sunshine and daisies. Nothing happens. And that is just simply not true. There are times when you feel like you're missing out. There are times over the last 8 years when I've questioned it. Have I lost my social group? Am I boring? Don't go out as much as I used to. There are things you do sacrifice. You sacrifice some of the things that this chap that I was talking to last week would probably hold sacrosanct, but you do it for a reason. And the reason is the sober lifestyle, which is the healthier, better. So, and I want to stop because I always do this thing where I just talk and talk and talk. But let me
Yeah.
hand over to you, Matt, and get your sort of thoughts, and we'll continue the conversation. But that I find this bit quite fascinating, as you can probably tell, and a very interesting topic to think about and discuss.
Yeah, you've thrown me on this one actually, because my notes that I wrote, I think I'm going to have to go off piece. They don't really correspond now to what I was thinking originally, but really, really interesting topic. And I think, I was that person. I was that defensive person. I was, I wouldn't hear it. What do you mean? I'd try and do everything I could. I mean, like I say, I've said this before. Even when I was drinking, I still ran. I ran quite a lot actually. I ran a marathon when I was, in probably not far off addiction mode, but my God, was it, a million times harder. And it was my belief that that would help combat the excesses in my life. Sadly, it doesn't. And you know, it really is about that change of lifestyle. I think where I've seen it succeed, and what you said was absolutely true, is these diets don't, for me, are not necessarily what people need. It is a change of lifestyle. Um, the thing about a cheat day, I mean, that just sounds like, please drink with moderation. it's
Mm.
it's it's saying you can't, but you can. It's saying, oh well, if you just control it, and that is just something that I don't think works at all. So, do you miss out? Do you, I do sympathize. I think you're absolutely right. I think two things really, that if if said person were to stop drinking, would it be the magic bullet? Maybe not, but it certainly would be a very effective bullet. I think, we, both of us, everyone I know who has gone through this life change, because it is a life change. It's not a diet. It's not a fad. It's not a short-term solution. It is from now on I'm going to live my life differently, um, the health benefits just come. I've made it very clear in my book, before I gave up drinking, very shortly before, I had a medical um, tests, which in France you have to do every 2 years with your work, which I think is a really good thing, actually. And I had slightly high blood pressure, and even to the point where they said, "Oh, it's probably because you've walked, fast to get here. Um, it's okay, but it is on the high side. Maybe come back in 4 weeks and we'll test it again."
Mm.
That bothered me. That really did bother me. And actually, unfortunately, it coincided with 2 weeks later me having my rock bottom moment and giving up. And you know what? When I went back within 4 weeks, it was 2 weeks, I think, after I'd given up drinking, my blood pressure was back to normal. I mean,
Yeah.
that's mad, isn't it? That's
I had
absolutely
I,
mad.
I had the same thing. I had the same thing. I had the same conversations with my doctor about my blood pressure, which was that kind of, it's high. It's not high, but it's sort of borderline. It's on the edge, and um, I knew that it was as a result of drinking, and the same as you. Since I quit drinking, it's fine. Knock on wood, it's back to normal. But another sort of observation in and around this, which I think I mentioned before, I go to the gym quite a lot. It's when you quit drinking, you find other things to do. You create other
Yeah,
habits. I've often used the term, the one amazing and great decision to stop drinking for me led to a series of other really brilliant and great decisions around diet and exercise, learning, but just the sort of the way that I now live my life is is just so much more aligned to the person that I want to be. So one of the things I started doing is I started exercising a lot more. I go to the gym pretty much every day. I do some exercise pretty much every day, and I often get, I'm not say just take this with a pinch of salt, but quite often I get guys of about my age, because there's lots of guys around my age who come up to me and say, "How old are you?" And I tell them how old. They go, "What? Like, how do you do? How do you look?" They'll say you look really good for your age, which is a huge compliment. You've talked about how that is and you feel really good about that. That's a really nice thing to say. Look, I don't look amazing, but I look reasonably good shape for, I suppose, for my age. And that's another example. Do you know the only difference, the only reason? I stopped drinking. That's
yeah,
it. That's it. That's why. And because I stopped drinking, I come here every day. I don't do anything particularly special. I don't work out like a demon. I'm not, I,
yeah,
I just do it every day. I just go
yeah,
every day. And because of that, I look like I do now. And this guy who I was out with, he looks, he's got that big, chunky, slightly red face, big sort of barrel, belly that guys of our age can. It looks really uncomfortable. Does what we do, still tries to put on the skinny jeans, and you sort of almost looks a bit like, oh, can't really wear those skinny jeans anymore. And I know that I know that alcohol isn't the answer to everything, but my point is that if you stop drinking, what he should do is stop for a year. Don't do it for a month. Don't do it for
yeah.
2 weeks. Stop for a year. See what the world looks like. See what it feels like in this world, to do it for a long period of time. Because over a period of a year, you start to get all the benefits.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's a really interesting one. That I like that idea of try it for a year. It's super daunting, right? I think for anybody, we mustn't forget that it's really daunting. There was something you wrote to me. We conversed in the week, and you were talking about said person, and one of his comments was, we really enjoy drinking. It's part of our life, and I get that, right? I did, I really did. But the reality was I didn't know otherwise. I
Mm,
didn't know what it was like to enjoy life without drinking, because I'd
mm,
never really tried. And I
mm,
think it's the same for so many people. For so long, it's ingrained in your life. It's what you do. It's how you socialize. It's everything. Go on holiday to, if you're American. I went to Cuba one time. Sorry, Canadian, and like, it is full of people who are probably our age, who like a drink, and trust me, they they don't look like Brad Pitt. Go to Ibiza or the southern Spain, was it Alicante or those places, in the summer, and look at the Brits abroad, and it's frankly atrocious. Um, and I think, yes, you're absolutely right to touch on the fact that it's not the golden ticket that lots of people think it is. I've had a rough week this week. I'm not going to go into it, but I hurt my jaw, and it's been a nightmare. Like, eating's been a nightmare. I haven't, and I've been down in the dumps, and work's been tricky, and you do feel like pretty low at times, but you know what, that's life, but the everything just outweighs it. And there's a honeymoon period as well. There's a comedian called David Boyle. He has a podcast called I'm Quitting Alcohol. And he talks about that 6 to 8 month period, which is the honeymoon period. And it really is. It's when everyone's congratulating you. You've done well, fantastic. Don't you look good, etc. That peters out. That does stop. And then, you do question it. And I think it is hard. But what I would say is, those who say that they really enjoy drinking, I would reply with, well, I really enjoy not drinking. It allows me to just be the best person I can, even if I'm under pressure, even if things are difficult. I know that, well, I've just been me. I couldn't be anyone else. The answer I've given has come from me. It's not been, the boozy fun or whatever. But you can choose boozy fun, as you said, it's a choice, or you can choose clean fun. Both are fun. I guess you've got to say that, but one is more authentic. And
Yeah, I mean,
is it worth it? I think.
yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there, Matt.
No.
I think the other thing, just to sort of round this out with as well, is that something I often become very conscious of is that the perception is different to the reality when it comes to alcohol. I think what you perceive the benefits of and the fun that's associated with alcohol are detached from the reality.
Yeah.
And that's another thing to remember.
That's exactly what I wrote in my first part of the notes.
Right. Yeah.
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 Nice. You did well to interrupt.
Okay. So, like, if you think about it, because I did. It's a difficult one to discuss on podcasts about sobriety. This idea of you will miss it. You will have moments when you think, "Fucking hell, can't do that anymore." And that was fun. I did like that. That was good when we used to do that. We did have some time, but I think that's your perception, and the reality of it is, let's say, for example, it's a Saturday night, and you think, "Do you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna have a beer. Fuck it." Like, I used to enjoy that. It's a warm, sunny evening. Look at the pub. I'm having a beer. When you drink over the course of any period, I would say there's a period of about maybe 30 minutes to an hour. Might consider it to be controlled fun. Either side of that, it's always a bit of a gamble. It's never as much. You're either stopping drinking and you don't really want to, you want to carry on. So you're having to like restrict, or you're carrying on drinking and then you're in the danger zone. And what I would say to anybody that has moments of doubt about it, which we all do, by the way, we all do when you quit. I will give you an example of, same as you, Matt, the vicissitudes of life can wear you down. It can be up and down. You can have good days and bad days.
Yeah.
And I've had a pretty good week. It's not been, but the weather in England over the winter is really fucking difficult to live with. I mean, it's fucking. England's a beautiful place when the weather's nice, but in the winter, it's fucking awful. It's dark, it's wet, it's miserable, and it's grey, and it's worn me down this winter. I'm not going to lie, and of course that impacts your mental health. It impacts how you feel about the world. But when you stop drinking, those moments of joy that you trade for, like when you're having a beer or a wine or whatever, those short moments that, let's face it, are destructive and bad for your health. And even if you think you've got it under control, you end up like my mate who's struggling with health issues, blah, blah, blah. I went out for a run this morning and it was fucking beautiful. It was blue sky. And I just thought, as I was running, I felt euphoric. It felt euphoric. I felt so, and it things are cyclical. Things are cyclical. You can have that. The weather's shit. Cost of living is shit. There's fucking wars everywhere. It's shit. Politics is shit. The world is shit. And all of that can be true. But you also then get these, but I'm not drinking and I'm taking control of me. And then you go out and you have a run and you realize that not everybody in the world is shit, that not
Yeah.
everything in the world is shit.
Or you go and have a walk in the morning, even things
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah. Or a walk. Sorry. Or you just get outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't have, yeah,
It's,
exactly.
it makes a
So,
huge, huge difference.
and it's a choice, and that was it. So look, we'll leave it there. I don't know how long that was, so we'll leave the conversation there. But as always, so completely absorbingly fascinating. Thanks, as we always say, thanks so much for if you've listened to this point. Thank you so much. Please leave comments. We love the comments. The comments are what keep this
Yeah.
going. The comments, honestly, this is money doesn't keep this going. We get nothing out of this, but the comments and the feedback is what keeps us going. So keep those coming. We really appreciate them. Subscribe, recommend, do everything you can because this does help people. We know that for a fact. This really helps. It helps Matt and I, and it helps everybody else. So please do help us to get this into the hands of as many people as you can, because I think the world right now needs communities like this, which, whilst it's about not drinking and it's about sobriety, it's actually a bit more than that. It's about supporting each other and being kind and finding the simple things in life that are still worth it and still lovely. And, you know, without wishing to get too deep and meaningful, that's kind of my motivation for all of this. And I think that's worth doing and worth being involved in. So yeah, I'll leave it there. That's it for me for this week.
That's a great way to leave it. I think nothing really more to add. I still believe 100% because I've been through it, and that's the one thing that I can stand up and say I speak with real experience is that you can try your diets, you can keep your attempted exercise routines, etc. You can do all that, but if you just stop one thing, you just drop that one thing, everything becomes so much easier afterwards.
Right.
But there we go. And finally, just because I'm thinking about it, and we kind of said, well, two things actually I'd like to end with. The first thing is we have promised that we will do an episode on how to help other people. So if you know someone, or if you have a partner or someone who's having what you think are difficulties with alcohol, but it's a really difficult one to approach, how do you talk to them, etc. We will do an episode on that. Maybe next week will be the one. It's still in our mind. And the second thing was I just wanted to mention a film. We did this last week. I don't know whether it's popular. I don't know whether you like it, but hey, we're going to do it again. So I saw a really cool film not long ago called Companion. I'm not going to give too much away, but it's about a guy and his girlfriend who they go to join some friends in a guy's house out in the middle of nowhere. The guy who owns the house is a bit of a strange character. He's from Eastern Europe, and he seems to be a bit of a gangster, and he's quite rich. And they have a night out, and then the next day things start to unravel. I'm not going to say any more because there's a very good twist in it, but I
Right.
really enjoyed it. It's a budget, it's not a huge budget film. So anyway, there's my little tip for films.
All
Companion,
right.
go watch it. It's good.
Okay. Sounds intriguing. That's a good one. Brilliant. Okay. Well, we'll leave it there. Thanks as always. As we always say, never quit quitting. And with that, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him. Cheers.